Rescheduled Fairhope City Council meeting. If we could, we're going to have Pastor Rick Mulligani come up to lead us in the prayer and followed by the pledge.
Let us pray. Good evening, dear Lord. As we gather here this evening to discuss the plans of this fair city, we call on your Spirit to fill this space. May your wisdom guide us. May your grace cover us as we work to build this to a better city. We ask for a special blessing upon these leaders and all who have business here tonight, and may your good will be done. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Rick. All right, Council. Before we get started too far tonight, we discussed just a little bit during the work session that we are now planning to amend the agenda, if y'all are amendable to that, to eliminate and remove item number 22, which is an executive session. We have 3 resolutions we need to add. They would be items number 22, 23, and 24. The first resolution item is a hazard mitigation grant from AMEA. And the next item is for 4 transformers that need to be purchased. And when Conrad was up here talking about, we have an opportunity to go ahead and buy them with relatively short delivery time, and several of these are already spoken for. In fact, we would only have 1 remaining as a spare. And then the third item would be, I'll go ahead and read this one. That Mayor Sherry Sullivan is hereby authorized to execute a mutual release and settlement agreement between the City of Fairhope and Green Coast Services relating to the contract for dredging operations at Fairhope Marina. So those 3 items, if y'all are comfortable with that, Council.
Council President, I make a motion to amend the agenda to delete the executive session and add the 3 resolutions you mentioned.
Second. All right, we've got a motion and a second to amend the agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, motion passes. First item is to approve the minutes of the April 11th regular City Council meeting and the work session. Y'all had a chance to review those minutes, council members?
I move to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Any additional commentary? All right. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, motion passes. Mayor, your report.
Thank you, Councilman Conyers. First and foremost, I want to thank the members of Troop 47 who are here to earn their citizenship badge. Gentlemen, if you'd like to step up to the mic and tell us your name.
Hi, my name is Ian Mitchum. Hello, my name is Chandler Wesley.
Glad to have y'all here today with us. Hopefully you learn a little something today.
That's right. We're always glad to host them here. Glad to have them. The other thing I wanted to do is thank Gary Gover and the Earth Day Committee. I believe Gary was here earlier for a great event this weekend. It was a beautiful weekend, and just happy to have that event back. And again, crowds are out in full force, so just a great Saturday in Fairhope. Also want to mention on May 4th, we are going to be doing our ribbon cutting and dedication of the solar charging stations here at City Hall with AMEA. So glad to finally see that project finished and complete and dedicate the solar panels in that project. And the other thing, just want to mention the road closings. Jessica and Richard are doing a great job of communicating all this, but want to make sure everybody knows. We're hoping that the intersection of Fairhope Avenue and Church will be open on May the 2nd. Of course, that project will continue to move down Church Street towards Fells, and so we're putting out updates on that. Also, we will have another road closure to put in a sewer force main on Fairhope Avenue that will be closer to Ingleside and the car wash there on Fairhope Avenue. So bear with us as we continue to have these road closures. These are infrastructure projects that are necessary to the future of Fairhope. And, again, I know it's inconvenient for people, but again, please be patient. Know that we're doing this to improve improve Fairhope for you and for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, next item is public participation. If you wish to address the council on agenda items 5 through 24, come forward to the mic. You've got 3 minutes. Just give your name and address to the city clerk.
Hi, I'm Skip Jones. I'm the president of the Fairhope Center for the Writing Arts, and we have a program in the little cottage behind the library, as you all are well aware of, that the city leases to our organization for a very nominal amount every year. And I wanted to come tonight and thank you all for renewing the lease and say that we believe it's a very, very worthwhile project for the city. It gets us good publicity in the literary world, and so thank you very much for renewing the lease and for fixing the roof, which got finished today, I think. So thank you, council and mayor, for helping us.
Thank you, Skip, for your service. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Gary Gover. I live at 300 Lincoln Street in Fairhope. On agenda item number 8, some additional information that might be of interest would be, is there a contemplated energy source for the generators that is being considered or has been selected? That might be battery, it might be diesel fuel, it might be natural gas, so whatever that might be. In addition, operating these lift stations along with other lift stations that have backup generators, is that going to impose a load on the sewage processing plant during a prolonged outage that might require some work to be done on the sewage plant? On agenda item number 9, this is a very substantial investment that's going to benefit the stormwater management program. If there's time to talk about it, it would be nice to have some specific examples of how the stormwater management program will benefit from having this additional data available in the GIS system. On agenda item 12, this is interesting because I'm thinking about rehabilitation of the waterfront up and down the Eastern Shore. And this kind of a cooperation between private property owners and the city to accomplish work like this might be a good way to support the establishment of living shorelines, particularly in Fairhope. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I want to address one of those questions. I believe I can. Richard, step in and help me, or someone for the water and sewer department. Those generators, those standby generators at the lift stations would either be diesel or gas. My guess would be gas.
Where there is natural gas available, there'll be dual fuel. They can run off of natural gas. We'd rather buy our gas than somebody else's fuel.
Right.
And in those locations where we do not have our natural gas available, they would be just single fuel diesel.
Right, so both. And the question about the load on the sewer treatment plant is it also has backup generators to run the entire plant on backup power should you have the need.
Yes.
So it would not add load that we couldn't handle there.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come forward and address the council? All right, seeing no one, we'll go ahead and close the floor and turn it over for council comments, starting with Councilman Burrell.
I don't have any committee reports today. We have an airport authority meeting, I believe it's next week. I do want to make a mention, the passing of Mr. Bob Riggs. Many of you may know Mr. Riggs. He had moved away a year or so ago from Fairhope, but during his time here, he was a very, very active member of the community. Kevin, you'll know him from the Harbor Board, and he was very, very instrumental getting that board restarted and was very involved in that. He just loved being at the Fairhope docks, and he loved working on the harbor board. He was also a member of the Education Advisory Committee, having been a dean of several departments in several universities throughout the country, and also president of Austin Peay University. He also served on the city's finance committee for a number of years, but he passed away a few days ago. I don't think they mind me saying, doing something that he loved. He was working on his boat, which he loved dearly, when he passed. He was a Marine combat veteran of Vietnam. He had 30 years in the Marine Corps, retiring at the rank of colonel. And the list of accolades and accomplishments by Mr. Bob Riggs just goes on, and he'll be sorely missed by this community. He loved Fairhope, and we'll miss him. Our sympathies to his wife, Vicki, and his family.
Yeah, awful sorry to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
blessings,
letting us know.
blessings to the Riggs family.
Councilman Martin.
Jack and I attended the Recreation Board. It was pretty benign. I know we have one vote for a new member, Coach Scott Barry. I think most people know him, the fishing coach. And so I think that's on the agenda tonight. Otherwise, we just talked about the great things that Pat's doing as far as the ballparks and pickleball and all the other things around town. Other than that, it's pretty benign. I do want to mention one thing that's outside of committee updates. On June 18th this year, we're going to have a celebration for the abolition of slavery. It's going to be at the Youth Center on Young Street. We'll have horseback riding and jumpies, and we want the whole community to come out. Today, they made that day a national holiday. I don't know if anybody saw that, but it is now a national holiday, and I think Fairhope wants to celebrate that as a community, and we're going to put something together as a community and celebrate that on June 18th this year at the Rotary Youth Club. Bring the kids. We'll have horseback riding, jumpies, music, food. There'll be food trucks out there, and I think it's a great opportunity for everybody to come together for a special occasion. So please bring your kids and your families on that day. Hopefully we'll have beautiful weather. More information to come.
Thank you.
You should see the flyers and the highlights around town.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Councilman Robinson.
I don't have any comment. Happy to be here.
Councilman Boone.
No comment.
All right, I just going to mention, speaking of Pat and the rec department, they did a great job working the concession stand at the soccer tournament this weekend. I think he put in about 23 hours over the weekend, and I doubt he is sitting at home watching this right now, but if he does go back to review the tape, I just wanted to say thank you for all the hard work. All right, first item up is final adoption of an ordinance. This is ordinance to repeal and replace Ordinance 1747 and request to approve the revised lease of the Fairhope Center for the Writing Arts, declaring that certain real property of the city of Fairhope, the Writers Cottage at 9 North Section Street, for the Fairhope Center for the Writing Arts is not needed for public municipal purposes in response to an offer to lease a property to be used as a center for the writing arts in accordance with uses normally incident here to no other purpose. So this is what Skip was speaking about earlier. Council, this is for final adoption of this ordinance. Would someone, does anyone have any questions or comments? I know we've seen this a number of times. All right. Would anyone like to make a motion for final adoption?
Make a motion for
Second.
final adoption.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, clerk, if you call the question.
Place 1.
Aye.
Place 2.
Aye.
Council President.
Aye.
Place 4.
Aye.
Place 5.
Aye.
All right, ordinance passes. Thank you. Item number 6 is a site plan review and approval and request of FST 412 Fairhope LLC. That's the owner for site plan approval of 412 Fairhope Avenue, a 3-unit multi-occupancy project. The subject property is zoned B2 Central Business District. It's approximately 0.07 acres. The property is located on the southern side of Fairhope Avenue and lies east of Section Street. And this has been approved unanimously by the Planning Commission And Hunter, if you
Sure.
would.
Thank you. This was heard April 4th with the Planning Commission, site plan review, so they recommend approval. I will kind of preface this by saying we did get some information late Thursday that haven't fully evaluated, but Larry Smith with the engineer and Ryan Baker with the architect, and I believe someone representing the developer is also here. So if there are questions, we can have them up after I get through. This property is on Fairhope Avenue. Shown, the zoning is B2, is shown on the left. The aerial is on the right. Currently, that building takes up approximately half of the lot. The proposed plan meets all the setbacks requirements. It's built with a parapet wall right at the 40-foot mark. The plans we saw at Planning Commission are shown on the left, at the bottom of the screen. Primarily tongue and groove siding with steel pipe columns and brackets and glass. There is a revised CAD drawing of this elevation as we get down toward the end. The floor plans, you have commercial on the ground floor, and then 2 floors above that, each 1 unit residential, 1 3-bedroom unit on the second floor, a 3-bedroom unit on the third floor. 2 parking spaces, what our zoning ordinance currently requires for each residential unit. Those are provided in the alley off the rear. And no landscape plans, parking is meeting. There is an 8-foot sidewalk in front of the property, no fences. Garbage is collecting in 3 rollout bins on the rear of the building. Those will be screened. Stormwater was provided with the MOP, so we've reviewed that. Signs shall meet the City of Fairhope sign ordinance. We don't know the tenant in the ground floor, but any signs will meet our regular ordinance. The erosion control plan was also submitted, approved in the MOP. And by the way, the MOP, which you all know, I'll just speak for the public, it's looking at the more technical merits, drainage, utilities. That ends with the Planning Commission. That was approved with condition of the site plan getting approved. So ADA requirements shall be met. A traffic study was not required. So the only condition that the Planning Commission recommended came from staff, and there is the image on the right-hand side of the screen shows the existing building. It's the kind of reddish color building, and there's existing street tree. On the screen to the right was the first plans we saw, and as you see, the building is almost to the property lines on both sides with the balcony shown in hatched or in a dotted line that extends all the way to the curb. That's an 8-foot balcony. We noted that there's a tree under that on the plans, and we said, at that stage of the analysis, that cannot be trimmed because it's showing right under the balcony. So moving forward, there was discussion. We met outside on site. I think we've had 6 or 7 staff members be out there. Mayor was out there with us. We looked at site, and there's a few options that were looked at. One of those was creating a triangle tree well. Now, this is early procedures. We kind of looked at that in the field, but after further analysis of that, and what is shown on the screen was one part of the plan that was revised and sent to us Thursday evening. So we'll be happy to explore this more. We just need more time to do that. But preliminarily, this small drawing here, the blue line shows the drive aisle where your traffic is flowing. The striping there does not meet what's in the field. That's where the striping ends in the field. So reducing that, I think they're showing 18 feet something. They're really a 13, just under 14 feet. So reducing that there, you also note that a lot of cars pull across the curb, so the bumper's sticking over the curb. That allows people to squeeze forward, and even some vehicles are out in traffic. So by putting that in the tree there, it prevents cars from pulling up, and this depth is about 7 feet. So even a regular golf cart has a tough time fitting in there, especially a 3-seater, because we did look at putting this in option of relocating the tree at the time. That's been evaluated and said the tree won't make that transition, so it would be replanting a new tree. So at this point in time, we don't recommend that option. Option 2 was relocating the tree further east. That just kind of moves that burden. In general, most of our trees are somewhere around the property line. This building was not built all the way to the property line, so it is cheated a couple of feet on their side of the property line. But moving this tree 3 or 4 feet over and encumbering the next property just seems like it's kicking the can down the road, so staff did not recommend that solution. This was an alternative to the triangle parking. We could remove a parking space. That's already a burden in downtown public parking. Staff didn't recommend that solution. Option 4 was trimming the tree. And then this is kind of one of those points of analysis. We have more information. If we need to, we can further explore this. But, and I'll let the developer kind of speak to this a little bit more if I don't do a good job. And I'll show you some images we did for the Planning Commission. We kind of did a rough, quick and dirty of the same type of analysis to see if what could be done with that tree and trimming that tree. And what we showed, really cutting into the trunk a little bit, not just the limb. And it's hard. This kind of analysis is really hard because you're making some judgments, and moving 2 feet, can change the perspective, especially when you're working within these close of margins. We're in inches here. So there's 2 ways to look at it. Can the balcony be built by trimming the tree? But then can the tree grow? If we lose the tree, can we plant another tree there? And those answers are probably no, because that tree well is shown in a dashed line here, and the balcony sits over that. The analysis, as they've shown, the tree does kind of lean, grows to the east a little bit. So potentially you could trim some of that up and have the balcony there as it exists, but no future. You're still going to be moving it 3 or 4 feet down the road. If it doesn't make it through construction is going to be a challenge when you only got a couple of inches of margin of error. But looking at the plans, this is my rough at Planning Commission. We're kind of looking here and taking that hand-drawn drawing, putting it right at the property line, looking where the balcony begins, and it's hard to see here, so all I did was took that balcony and made a red line of it. And as you can see, it's cutting into this pretty good portion of this tree here, but really even at this area, it's where it's cutting into the trunk that we made this thing, it can't be trimmed. We had our horticulturist look at it. I think a few other staff members went out and looked. While it's tough analysis, it doesn't appear the tree can be trimmed as those plans originally showed. So we did say in comments, we don't believe it can be trimmed with what we've got, but I want to be clear, we've never said we don't agree with trimming of the tree to accommodate a balcony. We have that all over. We'll show you some pictures coming. But what we do have some problem with, and I don't know if there's anyone, I drove through and looked. What this balcony is doing is going to each property line, edge to edge, and then all the way out to the curb as far as it can. I don't think we have a balcony in the city like that. I could be wrong. But just looking through, I don't think that's an option. So giving some room for our street trees is still an important solution. I know this was brought up of trees being trimmed. I think this is a great marriage of trimming trees and allowing balconies in the right of way. But just want to point out some differences on this. The building here is not built to the property line on either side. The balcony is not built to the building line. The balcony doesn't extend all the way out to a curb on a sidewalk that's not as deep as what we're seeing in front of this side. And the result is more space between the tree and the balcony. So the staff recommendation and what came to you from the Planning Commission was recommend approving the building, recommend approving the project, but revise the balcony to allow the tree to grow. So I actually talked to the architect on this today, trying to get something in front of you so we can make an informed decision. There was a question, and we both kind of thinking about it out loud was really how many balconies, because there's multiple options. reducing the size of the balcony. It's always an option to build within the property lines, even the balcony. And I think he challenged me, and I could only come up with one off the top of my head, but went driving around. So I'm going to show some ways other people, projects in Fairhope have dealt with that. I think there's 11 here of balconies that do not extend into our right-of-way. So you're probably familiar with some of these. These all keep not just the building, but the balconies as well inside the property line. And this is rough. I might have some inches off here and there because I do not have surveys of all this. But for the most part, there's 2 here. One, I don't know when the retrofit of that was, but these buildings are not, the balconies are not extending into the right-of-ways. This is not the first time we've had this conversation. Looking at some other ways that people have handled this, and some were retrofits. There's the Juliet-style balconies that don't extend out as far. You open the door, kind of your living room becomes the balcony. Balconies that don't extend out on the edges and have a curve. You've got smaller balconies that don't extend from side to side of the building. You've got places like the Hampton Inn here. There's room for street trees. Those balconies extend from one end of the building to the other, and there's a third floor, but they don't extend all the way to the curb. This Google Maps had a sunspot here. The balcony does extend over the sidewalk here, but where the street tree is, the balcony's inset in the building. Corner of another broken egg, the corners have a little bit of a advantage. There's plantings for trees on the corner, but the balcony doesn't extend into all the way to the curb. And on the end, I think that was one of the first, just to quickly show you, this is where that abuts the top middle section. It steps back and gets off the property line. And then as you round the corner, most of us are familiar with the large oak tree that's still there. It steps back from the property line. So Fairhope has a history of looking at developments and working within the street trees and making it work. So staff still, and I'm going to leave this up in case anyone else would like to come speak of it and reference those. But staff still recommends the condition of approval for this case. We do recommend approval. I think it's a good asset to downtown, but we do recommend redesigning the building to resolve the conflict with the existing street tree. Just as I kind of caught this afternoon, one of the notes on the revised plan shows stamped brick concrete. This is a city sidewalk. We do pavers. So just that condition's there that it shall be pavers provided by the city and installed and repaired or repaired if needed by the developer. This did make it through Planning Commission with a 5-0 vote, recommending approval. Like I said, the other 3 folks are here if y'all have questions. And I'm always here as well.
All right, council members, do y'all have any immediate questions or comments for Hunter or for the developer, engineer, and architect?
I'll make some comments. I've talked to the proposed owner of the property several times, and I like the plans. I don't like the fact that the tree is directly beneath wholly beneath the balcony. I thought it was a little off to the side. I don't think it's fair to kick the tree down the street because you're imposing on the property adjacent to use future rights to do something there. And so, I think the rights should be equal. I don't think you can trim that tree in its current location and save the tree to grow. I don't think it can grow to its maximum height in its current location. But I do like the project. I'd like to come to some resolution. I would hope that when I looked at this, that you could cut the tree, but we can't ask the tree to grow and bend around the balcony. And I think that a solution could be found, and I would support it with the 2 recommendations that were presented.
And I will briefly, they can ask questions, because they do show, the tree does tilt to the east a little bit. So getting it in now, but being able to plant anything in the future is a definite no.
You don't know, yeah, in the future, no, and then, that tree could get a disease or anything could happen.
And you got to build that balcony.
I've got a pine tree in my yard that grows up, and it makes a C, and it goes up, and it's 50 feet above the ground where it does that. So storms do crazy things to trees here.
Yeah.
I don't, we would lose that tree. And we don't want to lose trees
No.
downtown.
There's 2 left on that block.
That's my opinion.
Yeah. And it's a good, healthy tree. I mean, that was kind of we did look at different things. Is that tree slated to be, down in the next few years? It's a good, healthy tree, doing great. Is it possible to relocate the tree? That wasn't advised, so, I mean, we've kind of explored the options. It's not just sitting on, resting our laurels.
I mean, was there any, did you guys have anything that you wanted to say or tell us, or any?
The council was done with their questions. I mean,
Did anybody else?
Has anybody else got any comments or questions right now? Or do y'all want to hear from?
Yeah, I think I want to hear.
Architect?
Yeah, I'd like to hear.
I want to hear
I would like
from
to
these
hear.
guys.
Ryan Baker, on my address, 460 Dogwood Avenue, Fairhope. I'm an architect. Just a couple of things. We did explore, like you're talking about, saving the tree in its current location, and we were asked to map out the tree, so we mapped it out and saw how much it is leaning to the side up there, and the ability to just trim off part of it. And I understand what you're saying, Jack. It's not an argument piece. I'm just letting you know that's sort of how this came about in the shading, saying this is how much of the tree would be left. In the bone and barrel example was how much trees are trimmed downtown to that extent where looks like almost half of the tree is gone on one side versus the other and then be replaced. The other one, I don't like to be in arguments with anybody here, so, but we did go out and measure these parking spaces. Those lines are the actual spaces that are out there. And the triangle that we're showing there is where a car cannot park anyways. Okay, when you park in that angled spot, there's a triangular area that is left that the car doesn't go. So the idea is to take up the area where there is no car, where you can't pull up any further, and I can show you pictures of how cars fit in the triangle space and use that. And it's done all over the place.
Is that in the corner of the parking space?
couldn't
tell
what that
See,
picture-
If it's in the corner of a parking space, it helps.
Yeah.
And I did think of the golf cart idea, and I'm surprised you
Yeah,
can't
because I didn't
get
understand.
a
I didn't
four-seater in
understand
there?
that. So what would you put, I mean, so what is, explain that.
So that triangle where there is no car there
Would be what?
would be where the tree well would go.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So that's the general idea of that. We're not changing the size of the parking space in any way or the ability for the car to park there. That's normally parking there in any way. Where the tree is shown, I don't know how to work all this as I do. The tree is shown here, maybe the tree needs to be pushed a little bit further back in that triangle or whatever.
Ryan, could you put it like splitting 2 parking spaces? Now, I guess the car
No, because then you'd have the right.
on the left would, at the angle, their bumper would be close to it, but maybe they could slide over
Yeah.
in this space. So, I
And-
don't know.
and
If
I'm
you put
sure
it doesn't have
Larry-
to be a triangle bump out, it could be a little.
Well, I'm sure Larry can speak to this a little bit better than I can even as a civil engineer, but the car is parking there in that curb. Just right now, they're hitting the straight bumper, but the front curb, the front tire on the right side is hitting that curb and the car's on an angle. This would be doing the same thing. It would not be changing the ability to park there.
Gotcha.
I will agree 100% with Hunter. These are the small parking spaces. So what we have downtown, y'all have driven down the street there, and when you turn the corner on Bancroft, those parking spaces, it's just tight. I mean, in some ways, it's part of our traffic calming. That our tightness of our parking downtown is part of the traffic calming that we have, but it's not really changing the size. It's just an opportunity. And we looked at what's happened on a lot of the trees on Section Street. There is tree wells, and that was kind of that third option that you presented of taking out a whole parking space. Nobody wants to do that, so this is that alternative. So I just kind of want to talk about both of those things. The other part is if we left the tree and we trimmed it, we mapped it out. Yeah, we might have to shrink the balcony by, 6 inches, a foot or whatever on each side. We're not trying to say we can't make a minor modification, but the idea is when we read the report was you cannot trim the tree at all. That's how we read the report. I understand you're saying it's something different, but we were trying to figure out how we could actually get the whole thing if we trimmed it. Now, we might need to make a little bit of change, maybe, yeah, we do, but we really think we can get the majority. And we got, some of that stuff is impossible to do from the ground. You need to be a contractor up in the right spot in the air to get the exact dimensions. This is us measuring on the ground on a ladder, reaching up, measuring each individual tree.
So Ryan, you're
lemon
saying
trunk.
you're willing to make those win-win situations if it's here or there to
I mean,
make
but
sure that we can
but
get
we
that?
don't think that the 8-foot projection out is not really, I mean, that's a question, I guess, for y'all. You know, right now that there's a potential of allowance for the 8-foot out, yes. And that's what we're showing. We think that, I don't think the tree makes a difference to say that. We would be changing the entire balcony design to make it 3 feet out as a Romeo and Juliet balcony that he described versus the balcony that is, you know, proposed here. But coming in a foot on either side, if that's what we need to do or something like that, we probably could, you know, I don't want to speak for the developer. He's wherever he is behind me. He can speak for himself about all those kinds of things.
I mean, yeah, whatever it takes to be able to trim the tree and to fit the balcony there.
That's what
I mean,
we're, yeah. That was
smaller-
our idea of the proposal is can we trim the tree and make it work, you know? So I hope both of those things, I just want to explain those two drawings. It wasn't either or, neither nor, just kind of, and I'll let the developer, the engineer talk about it. But do y'all have any other
Yeah,
questions?
because I
for
think
me?
it's a great project. It's just,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
get to where we can trim the tree.
Yeah, it's a good-looking project. It would be a big improvement over what's, you know, currently a boarded up
Right.
building, but I think, you know, if there's opportunity to, you know, a foot or two, and then, I don't think anybody up here would be opposed to some trimming of the tree. I mean, there's-
No.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to the trimming
We're not
of it. I
opposed
just,
to trimming it.
as is, there's a potential, you have to completely truncate it though.
Yeah, so, yes, sir, Larry.
I just wanted to add two more things. Wanted to follow up on Mr. Burrell's question. If it spanned over 2 parking spaces, then you would impact that other parking space because it's the wheel that's closest to the curb that's going to dictate it. So if that parking, that landscape island spanned over 2, it would impact that other parking spot. What you end up when you do this type of, because we actually looked at it on one of the projects in downtown Fairhope, you end up with, it looks like stair stepping going down the road as you, for the parking spaces to create more landscaped islands along the road. So it's always a little stair step at every single parking spot because it's basically that projection of where that square vehicle parks on an angle against the curb, then
Yes.
you've got that little sawtooth, and you go to the next one, you got the next one. And so that's what would happen if you went for a second parking spot. And then there was a question or a concern about, you know, if something were to happen to the tree in the future and you had to replant. My only thought would be that would be a chance to rectify. You know, the staff said that they try to put these on property lines. Unfortunately, this one wasn't put on a property line. It was put about 2 feet in, and so it'd give you a chance to rectify that and move that planting island if something were to happen to the tree in the future. And that was really all I had.
Yes, sir, Mr. Britt.
I'm Brian Britt. I know everybody up there pretty much, and everyone, staff and council included. I have had an office in downtown Fairhope for 20 years. We're Fairhope folks, and we love downtown Fairhope. We're not the dreaded out-of-town developer who's here to destroy the city, I promise you. We love the trees. And, you know, my wife graduated from Fairhope High School, and if I did anything detrimental to downtown, she'd be the toughest one to answer to, I promise. Fielding y'all's questions is a walk in the park by comparison. But we've had a great working relationship with the city for many, many years, staff and council, and we'll continue to have a great working relationship with you guys, regardless of the direction of how this is going. We're just having an honest disagreement, and so we're here to have the dialogue, and I appreciate the opportunity. I'm not sure I entirely agree, Mr. Burrell, specifically with the view that it can't be trimmed, because I'm not sure about the accuracy of the drawings. I feel pretty good about the accuracy of Ryan's drawings because he spent a lot of time measuring and placing the tree there, and it looks like the fork of the tree occurs below the balcony level. So we just kind of want to do what every other balcony in downtown has done. They've trimmed the canopy of the tree away from the balcony to accommodate it. And I've been on the balcony at Bone and Barrel and another Broken Egg. Every single balcony downtown, single tax, the balcony above them has trees adjacent to them where they have trimmed those canopies back to accommodate the balconies. So we love trees. There was originally talk of you can't cut the tree down. We have no interest in cutting the tree down. We like the tree. We just want to be able to do what everybody else around town has been able to do, which is to trim it away from the balcony. Since we do like trees, but we also like great architecture. And so in response to, we'll just, shorten the balcony or chop off half of it or whatever. We don't want a result of a less than ideal, architecturally pleasing building that's not as much of a benefit for the streetscape as we could have, as a result of a tree that maybe could have just been trimmed. So we would appreciate the consideration. I really do like Ryan's idea with what is truly a dead space in every single parking space. These are trees that, as history has shown in the city, that once they get to a certain maturity, they are cut down so they don't do damage to the sidewalks and curbs and foundations and things. So, I think if this tree was on the property line, for example, it would cause no issue at all. And as y'all started replanting trees, that could also be a potential opportunity to start planting those trees in those dead spaces. They're neither usable parking space nor sidewalk. So I really feel like that would be an opportunity as y'all replant trees to start planting them there. So that allows for the best of both worlds. You can have room for balconies and the trees probably with less trimming. So appreciate your consideration. Thank you for your time. Do you have any questions for me?
I've got a question or just a thought. I mean, I'm anxious to see if we can't find some kind of meet in the middle arrangement here that makes everybody happy, because it is an improvement to what is currently there. What if we did and I'm asking this of the developer, architect, engineer, and planning director, what if you simultaneously push the tree to the property line, but also brought the balcony in a foot or two on each side? Would that allow enough room for the tree to be there with just the standard normal kind of trimming? Is that something y'all would be in consideration of? I mean,
well, it just depends on how much, I guess. I mean, it's a shoebox of a site. So to say we're going to narrow the balconies, it's already pretty darn narrow. It's a very, very small site. So the answer to your question is yes, we're going to look at all options, try to make it work. I mean, if this existing tree was on the property line, I think it would be no more trimming than any other balcony in town has with the full balcony. That's not to say I want to have my cake and eat it too. I'm just making the observation. I think the fact that we've got the disadvantage of this tree being a few feet over onto our property rather than on the property line really creates a pretty significant obstacle as far as, how much of the tree would we have to trim.
yeah, and it looks like that was done back in the day because the building wasn't originally built all the way to the property line, so they just kind of plugged that hole, is what it looks like, which is on your property. Council members, any thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to go back one more time. Sorry, I'm going to go, I want you to
Please.
feel like you're in court here.
Please.
I'm glad you said we can still be friends after this, but
Good.
if that tree is wholly under that balcony, even if this tree, its trunk splits prior and you could just chop off a part of it, that tree hopefully is going to be there for a lot longer. Your building is going to be there a lot longer than that tree. And the next tree may grow straight up and it would have to be chopped off. That's why I think you've either got to move it, to the property line and cut in your balcony a little bit, or you got to move it out into the street. I don't have a problem with moving out into the street a little bit. It looks like the triangle that's shown, it seems like it takes up an awful lot of area in that drawing that I'm seeing. I don't know that it would be that big of an impact to that parking space. And I don't even have a problem moving the tree to the property line if it's a foot under it.
Well, one thing I had suggested
But if it's under that balcony, at some point in the future, it's gonna need to be cut.
Like, are
I
we
don't
saying,
think that can be argued.
Well, the issue's not the trunk, it's the canopy. So, yes, the base of the trunk is situated under the corner of the balcony. So you would have to take out a side of the canopy, just like many other trees downtown working around balconies. But one thought I had was let us try. Let us try to trim it around the full balcony, and neither one of us are arborists. You'd agree, Mr. Burrell?
I don't know, I may have a degree in that.
Do you? You have a degree in everything else, right? I thought you were a rocket scientist. So we, let us take a shot at it, and if it doesn't work, let us buy another tree, buy 5 new trees, replant on the property line. It's hard to say really what would happen once we trimmed it. Again, we're not arborists, but I feel like it could be done.
We could have an arborist get out. We do
Well-
we've had that on many other fronts.
My next question is this something that if you go out there with a ruler and a measuring tape and an arborist and spend the time, I mean, is that something that should be done and brought back to the council, or do you need to have a decision now? I mean, what's everybody's feeling on time frame here?
Well, I mean, we're ready to move forward, but
I'm just,
We haven't had to, as a staff, horticulturalist was out on vacation last week, so we got this Thursday night. We first brought this up March 11th, so that's a month and a half, we just got it. So our staff has not had a chance to evaluate.
Well-
We would be happy to come back in a couple of weeks, better prepared to answer this. We do not have an arborist on staff, so I don't know.
Could you look at that and give more details if you moved it out, if you just put a little small bump out there in the corner of that
We
parking
can
spot?
certainly look at that. I worry about the golf cart sticking out and driving the kids pulling.
But I'm
Golf
thinking-
carts?
I've got a 6-seater, and I can't imagine that you have to go out more than a couple of feet into the street with that. Am I wrong, Larry, on that?
The problem with the 6-seater, not much small, you're not gaining a lot of, when you go with compact space, you're not gaining a lot of depth.
Well, I wouldn't call it compact, I mean, but, you know.
Cars already sticking out right there, right?
cars,
They're already-
they got all down the.
Yeah, but I see full-size F-250 crew cabs with hitches on them sticking out down the road there.
Yeah. I
And
don't-
what we're doing there, like we mentioned before, you walk up and down the sidewalks and you'll see many bumpers kind of over the curb. They're gaining that space. When you put a tree here, you're preventing them from going forward anymore to kind of cheat the shortness of the parking spaces. But it's certainly something we can go.
May have to
look at.
choose another spot to park.
Yeah.
We
I wouldn't want
can, we can explore that option in better detail. We just haven't had a chance to really look at that.
As long as you're telling me you're not cutting the tree down, I'm good with it.
Bless you.
If you're not cutting the tree down, I'm good with it. I think trimming the tree is fine.
You don't know that option's gonna work, though, I don't
Well,
think,
and that,
Councilman
that,
Martin.
that's.
That's the
and
thing. You
that's-
don't know that
that's
they're
the
not
thing
gonna have to
is,
cut
it's
the
not
tree.
It's not a today or tomorrow solution. I mean, it's gotta work forever. I mean.
Yeah, it's gotta work for
as long as
120
that,
years.
or until y'all cut the trees down because they get too big, right?
Well, yeah, but then, that's what I'm saying, though, then it's the next tree. I mean,
Yeah,
and it
tree will
works-
last
it
30,
works.
40 years, then you gotta plant another one.
I mean, that's, I don't know, I mean, I would like to explore more options, to see if there is with the property line, or maybe just jut out into the parking triangle,
So they're putting-
if there is some solution to let Brian keep his balcony, but let us have a place for this tree that is safe for this tree. And not this tree, but the next 10 trees after it,
Well-
I mean.
Yeah.
Well, if you moved the balcony, and I'm just saying, if you moved it in 1 foot and also moved the tree over, how many feet are we talking to get to the property line? 2 feet?
Let me
That'd
kind
be
of show
3
you.
feet. I
the
can't
thought,
imagine
Brian,
that would be.
get behind them here. And like I said, there's 1,000 options here that would solve this in redesigns of the balcony, and I do. I really, once you've drawn a plan, you come attached to it, it is a tough thing to tweak. But I don't know if you can see that dash line. That's the tree well itself. So when we talk about the tree well being over the property line, it is cheated. Midpoint's here, but this is the projection of the property line. What we see on a lot of other projects, one I think that would solve it altogether, you see it at the Bone and Barrel. By the balcony being here, it's not going to allow the tree to grow anywhere to the west. Because this is a 3-story building, it's 40 foot tall, so there's 2 balconies. So not only is it going to be cut from the facade side of the building, but also to the west. So moving the whole balcony in, the right-of-way ordinance that we spoke of a few months ago, part of that had projections of balconies into the right-of-way. Did we land on 4 feet, Eric? the right-of-way ordinance, that was proposed with 4-foot projections? So nothing could project from any building facade into our right-of-way more than 4 feet. This is double that. I think we measured it. This is 5 feet deep, or 3 feet deep tree well. So just a 5-foot projecting balcony all the way across gives that tree enough room to grow east-west, doesn't actually cut up some of the upper branches. You know, I do believe that's the best solution, but I'm willing to meet halfway too. Now, how we get to that, I think there's some design decisions to be made. I'm hearing kind of two things, because the triangle requires a new tree. We've been told that can't be
That's what I'm saying. So
relocated. So we're putting another brand-new tree. This one is 12 years old? So we've got a 12 years into this tree of maturity, and we've got Section Street with smaller trees. So this is one of the ones we actually have full lighting on. That triangle solution just requires planting a new tree and cutting this one down.
And moving to the property line would require the same thing, all right?
Exactly. So,
But maybe moving the balcony in, because the property line, there's no guarantee that,
well, and that's what I'm saying. It's not as big of a jump. If that was, I believe, 3.5-foot wide tree well, I'm going to give a 1.5 foot
You're only gonna move it a
off
foot.
center that we're moving the tree well. Maybe 2 foot for this. You know, I want to give as much as possible, but without knowing those.
not even that.
But we're really not talking about a world of difference here, even moving that. So when I hear we're willing to move 6 inches a foot, I don't think that's helping solve the problem. Reality. But certainly willing to work to get a balcony and a healthy tree there. That I want to be clear on that. The comments back, we have a review procedures, and we review what's in front of us, and certainly put the comment out that we don't think that tree can be trimmed. That was me and 4 or 5 other people taking a look at it. None of us went out with, we've got a lot of projects. We didn't get out and spend that whole 2 weeks looking at this one. So margin of error there. It's entirely possible. But we are willing to meet halfway, just.
I keep hearing.
Is there a way to approve the project, but leave the balcony portion up to?
Well, I think that's what's before us, right?
That is the
recommendation
condition.
is for a redesign.
Now,
No, but I'm saying if the developer's trying to
Move forward. And not
to
come
know
back
that,
to us.
hey, can we approve it subject to them being able to negotiate that or bring the balcony portion back, or is that just a waste of?
so
energy to-
if you make it, if you approve it with the condition as stated, what we would typically do is make staff happy. If that requires getting an arborist opinion for a horticulturalist, then we go through those steps. The only problem with that is if we can't come to a solution, who's the mediator? So I guess we could come back to council if we can't agree, but I don't think that's likely outcome. I think we can come up with a solution if both sides are willing to maneuver, as long as we understand what the council's direction is. Because it's one thing to be moving the tree.
I think the council direction will be, there's gonna be a tree somewhere within a foot of that spot or two, and it's gone.
So it's okay to take this one down and plant a new one.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay.
3 new ones, Brian.
Assuming it serves
3 new
a
ones.
long-term solution, it serves
Yes.
as a long-term solution.
Right.
It doesn't,
So that is our challenge, because in our opinion, cut the balcony back to 4.5 feet
I think
off
get
the
more
building.
trees.
This tree saved, and it's a long-term solution.
Get more trees.
And if we need to move it a foot when it's time to replant it, then that's a solution.
Well, if
Have
it's an
room for it.
8-foot deep balcony, and you're cutting it to 4.5, then you're knocking almost.
I don't think. you
3
can
feet,
do
5
4%
foot.
of that.
Just remember that right-of-way ordinance that I sent for y'all to review, that's what's stipulated.
It's 4 feet. So we're even a foot over that. And if you look at all the other solutions, that's what's happening, every project we've looked at. And some of those are encumbered with trees not at property lines. Some of those I showed you in the images have trees kind of in the middle or 5 feet from the edge of the property line. 'Cause this is a right-of-way, it's not property. It's a right-of-way.
Well, not to be an architect here, but they could start the balcony
Deeper.
3 feet deeper
Yes.
as well.
This is still on paper. I mean, I know that's
I
invested.
don't know if that'd look good on those lines, but you can do that. I don't
Yeah.
know how that.
Well, I mean, that's the first 11. We kind of going off of mine, you kind of think all those are balconies in the right of way. But when you actually start driving around, there's 11 real quick that popped up that everything's 100% inside property lines. So, and then the ones that are in the right of ways don't extend this far out. I don't see, I know there's one that I could think of that comes all the way out, but it's not from edge of building to edge of building. So,
All right, well, council, what is y'all's, purview right now?
Part of me wants to
Well,
table it, say bring it back in 2 weeks with what your solution is. That way we adopt the
I've seen us,
site plan.
the problem what I have is, you know, we had a one on Church Street that we moved a tree, you know, for the guy. With the tree committee said that it was, you know, so you know, what we're looking at right now,
oh, Vance, okay.
yeah, so, you know, part of what we're looking at right now is that wooded area boarded up, looking crazy, you know.
That was removing a tree, that was, had
Different
issues
scenarios.
because there was another tree right next to it that wouldn't allow the tree canopy to expand. There was, like the one next
Yeah, I was
to
at
it
the-
built around the tree.
Yeah.
That was the only reason the tree.
Yeah.
wouldn't allow it to come down.
Let me ask can I ask
Same precedent.
the owner a question?
Sure.
Is 2 weeks the end of the world? If we were to say, come up with a solution, bring it back?
It's not the end of the world.
Because I don't want to vote something down, because that
We're
would
not
be
gonna vote it
a
down.
killer.
I'm not gonna vote it down. I don't think that's.
I mean, because if you come to some kind of solution, and there's nothing that prevents staff from coming individually to the council prior to 2 weeks and getting a good feel-good, and then you can keep your wheels in motion, it won't really necessarily slow you down.
Yeah, and I guess I'm a little frustrated, not by the council, but we spent an awful lot of time responding to a line item that said the tree cannot be trimmed, period. So we spent a lot of time addressing that issue, which is apparently not an issue.
And I felt like if it was just a matter to be trimmed, I would have,
Right.
voted to approve right away. But seeing that the balcony does completely cover that location, I just look to the future, and I just can't say that a tree would be able to grow there without it being completely cut off. The next one may want to grow towards the building or to the west, I mean.
Well, again, the staff recommendation originally was that the tree can either be cut or trimmed. So that's what we were left with. So now apparently attitudes have changed, and that's great. So maybe that will help us to get to the point where we
I
can
don't
come
think
to
the
some
recommendation would have been adopted and it changed.
Reference, because we react.
I'm
All
talking
we
about
see
the
is a
original
plan.
one, right?
The original plan that we see right here. We're not out in the field, we're seeing 100 projects. This is the plan we see. You see a dashed line with a balcony and a tree underneath. 12 foot up, that can't, by what we had in front of us, that is true fact. That tree cannot be trimmed because it's 100% under the balcony.
Yeah,
And
it
we
can't
never
be.
got any revised
It can't be.
plans until Thursday, so that lets us know trees coming here. We're not coming out and reviewing every detail of every project. We don't have time to do that, so.
So let's talk just about the right-of-way ordinance. Does this balcony, as currently designed, comply with that?
It does not.
But the right
Well, the new
ordinance is
proposed
adopted.
ordinance.
The right of way,
Right.
right, it's proposed, and
It's
that's the one that
proposed.
y'all have gotten a couple times that we discussed in a work session, that I just sent back this past week and said, want to give you another couple weeks to review. But it currently would not meet that right of way ordinance.
Today, the
But
rules
that's-
are that we can go to the curb.
That's correct.
And so we're currently compliant.
But that's why I wanted to bring it to your attention, just so you know, when you're looking at that right of way ordinance, this is kind of stuff you'll have to pay attention to.
And right now, there are no rules. This is all, every balcony in the right of way is an ask of the council. There's no setbacks, there's no guidance in the zoning ordinance in what balconies can do.
With this balcony, are there any other balconies, and I'm sure I can think of it right now, that come out this far?
I can't think of one, I won't say there are, we drove around. There is one that's been there right at the corner of Fairhope and section, the southeast corner. Been there forever, goes all the way around the corner of the building. It's pretty far out, and then just a little bit south of there, probably the furthest one out, but it doesn't go all the way side to side.
Well, look at Bone and Barrel and Another Broken Egg. They come within probably a foot, not all the way to the curb, but they have posts that come down to the sidewalks. So that impedes your use of that sidewalk. Ours come out a little farther, but it's cantilevered. There's not going to be any posts coming down to the sidewalk, so you get the full use of the width of the sidewalk. I feel like our proposal is more favorable to pedestrian traffic, et cetera.
Yeah, I don't, it's up top.
So, that's, up to y'all to decide if you're going to change the ordinance. So as it stands right now, we're compliant with everything but how we're going to deal with the tree.
Ryan, I see you're about to.
I have one more question or comment.
Yes, sir.
I heard, Richard, 15 years old is the tree right now, and how long when do y'all typically replace trees? I heard somebody say 20 years a few minutes ago.
I think the latest ones are designed to be there about 35, but
Okay, is that how long they are? Okay, well, that was gonna be one of my questions. How
that's the
long?
latest ones that we planted. That's that pistache tree.
So I guess, one of my thoughts on it was just how long, if we're gonna be 3 years, two years by the time we're done, if I heard you say we have the potential of moving the tree as one of the solutions, either to the property line or forward, we might be already helping the city by buying a tree, or as Corey said, buy 3 trees or whatever y'all decide. Collectively, we might be able to be partnering with the city. There is one of the trees on the block that is in front of the bank was one of the trees that was just replaced as part of the last project, and on the corners as well. So on this block, there's 4 trees that are the 9-inch elm trees, and there's 3 trees, I believe. There's one in the middle of the block, and then the ones on the corners that replaces part of the other project. So it might be an opportunity if we're looking at this as a way to bring them all up at the same time a couple of years from now when y'all do it. Just a thought. I'm not saying we need to do that. It's just as an opportunity. That's all I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think, I don't have an issue necessarily with, obviously with the trimming that's kind of standard around town. I don't have an issue if we wanted to move the tree to the property line or try the V. I still think there might be a need for the balcony to be adjusted a little bit in or back, not substantial. I don't think it's necessary to go 3.5 or 4 feet, but I think that if staff and developer could work together to figure out where that happy medium is between those options. Yes, sir.
I just want to clarify if it's tabled that we're grandfathered in with the existing rules because we've already made our submittal. So if there is a change, okay.
Yeah, I would not
We wouldn't
say
do
we
that
would
to
not
you.
hold you to.
Well,
No.
you know how things sometimes get tabled and tabled and tabled.
No.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't, yeah.
Be careful what you wish for.
No. So Brian, since, I just have, Council President, if I may, I have so if we can, so are you, since now that you've got that off your chest as far as the trimming, now you know that we're okay with trimming the tree, but now the issue is that they're saying that the drawing is not, does not fit that thought. Are you willing to come in a foot and to modify or curve it or whatever that is to, let's proceed with this?
Well,
I mean,
we
that's
can
that-
talk. I have a partner, so I don't want to stand here and
Oh, okay.
live stream commit to X, Y, and Z.
I got you.
We'll certainly sit down and look at everything.
Okay.
I just
So
think, the
we'll
bottom line is, I don't think that you can accomplish a tree growing there for certain now or in the future without some kind of physical change, whether it's to the building or whether it's to the location of the tree. There has to be a physical change.
Agreed.
Yeah. So are we okay?
So I
with
think, my thought is kind of piggybacking on what Jack and I think Jimmy both said is, whether it's a tabling or whatever else, or withdrawal at this moment to let Hunter, Brian, and Arborist and whatever else needs to happen, kind of get together and see if there is this happy medium, whether it's a foot or whether it's a curvature or whatever it might be that makes everybody a little less than perfectly happy, but happy enough so we can move forward. I mean, I
Right.
think that's the. So I make a motion then to table it to allow that to happen.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a second to table it.
Bill
Council,
was trying to say something.
any further comments?
Corey, I'm sorry, did I cut you?
No, I thought Boone was trying to say something.
Yes,
Councilman Beach?
No.
If you'd cut me off, you'd have heard it.
Okay.
All right. Any further
No, I'm
comments?
just
from
sitting there
the-
listening, because to me, there's a lot of options, you know. And Jeremy, if you have to talk to your partner, we do need a table, so you can discuss these other options now that's become available to you tonight. Trimming or this, whatever, might be a viable option, but you need to talk to your partner, so it's a nice decision, either yay or nay. That's, you know,
That's not good.
that's not a good position to be put in.
Planning director, developer, architect, and y'all all, and engineer, is that okay to get together and try to come up with a solution?
Absolutely, and we will explore the triangle and see if they have any other options, because I think one of the things we've even been looking at overall is where can we have, that ordinance that we proposed, also, instead of just the 4-foot projections, also said can't interfere with any existing or planned tree. So we are working on a street tree plan. So everybody knows on the front end, here's where it's at, here's the area you have to work with. I think that's a fair solution as long as that people know on the front end. But part of that is some of these tight right-of-ways that we've been dealt with through history. Where can we get some healthier tree wells without destroying sidewalks? So if the triangle works, we can do it.
That's what I'm-
Maybe
that's what
have
I'm
that
saying.
as a precedent.
Yeah, it's a little challenging to try to amend their drawings and plan here on the fly in a council meeting. I mean, that's not,
Yeah.
that's not easy for anybody, so.
We just did though. It's okay.
Appreciate it.
All right, I've got
Get your protractor out. Put a 2-foot
got
radius
a
on it.
motion and a second to table right now. Do we have any other comments or discussion? All right. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. If y'all get together and see what we can't work out. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right. Item number 7 is a resolution that public improvements indicated herein for Long Pine Estates Unit 1 are hereby accepted for public maintenance. Mayor, everything good there?
I make a motion to approve.
All right, got a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion?
Where is Long Pine Estates?
Outside the city limits, this is just for water and sewer.
Okay.
And this is actually, this is a little bit out of date.
I was gonna say, I don't recall that one.
Yeah.
Should already have been done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, got a motion and a second.
Yeah.
All those in favor, please
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition?
No, I don't have, I'm just gonna make a comment.
All right, what?
I'm just curious, is that the longest that a single tree has been discussed in a council
I
meeting?
think that is.
I mean,
Wow.
every time,
you know,
I'm so confused.
I'm
on
sure there's been
trees.
some lengthy
One
tree
tree I
discussions
tried
in
to
here
find
before,
was
but I don't know for a full hour for a
It's
single
big.
one.
All right.
I figured there might, I'm not sure that it hadn't taken longer, but just checking.
All right, item number 8 is a resolution that the city of Fairhope hereby authorizes submission of a grant application to ADC&R requesting $1,098,934 and Restore Bucket 2 for funds for 22 generators to be located at key wastewater lift stations, provide continuous public wastewater operations during storm events, and reduce SSOs. This would be a 75% project, so we would have, the city would be responsible for a 25% match in the amount of $278,834 if awarded. Any questions for Mayor Sullivan?
So moved.
We got a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion?
This would be probably placed in next year's budget.
Would be, and this is one of 2 grants that we currently would have, 2 grants that we would have in. We have one with hazard mitigation with 10 lift stations, and then this one with 22. So
And
every
these are-
opportunity we get, we're trying to get some of those key lift stations with generators
I
on.
would say these are going to be placed on the most sensitive lift
Correct.
stations first. Okay. All right, so we got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, motion passes. Item 9 is a resolution that the city of Fairhope authorizes the submission of a grant application to ADC&R requesting $650,000 and Restore Bucket 2 funds for the stormwater infrastructure inventory, a comprehensive GIS digital inventory of existing stormwater infrastructure features throughout the city of Fairhope that convey into Mobile Bay. Again, this is another 75-25 match, so If granted, the city would be responsible for $162,500. Any questions from Mayor Sullivan on this?
Yeah, do we have a particular order that we will go with these as well, as far as the the locators?
We do not,
Okay.
not at this current time. That would probably be up to, once we put out the scope of work and start doing the bidding process, that would probably all be detailed in there. is what I
And
would
this
assume.
is a part of the stormwater management plan?
Correct.
They're very good, which is awesome.
Yeah, would be substantial.
Very good.
All right.
Move to authorize the mayor to
Second.
submit the grant
We've got a
application.
motion and a second. Any further discussion, council? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Item number 10 is a resolution that the city council awards change order number 1 for bid 38-21 distribution and 46 kV line additions and improvements to East Bay Electric Company LLC for not to exceed amount of $9,691.25.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Item number 11 is a resolution that the city council approves International Code Council to perform professional consulting services for third-party review of construction documents for RFQ for the building department, and hereby authorizes Mayor Sullivan to execute contract with the negotiated not to exceed amount of $35,000. This is something we do, in the last several years we've done this. This is to help with some of the larger projects. For example, I think the USA map
Searches.
campus, and it takes a little pressure off of the building department and gets that third-party review. So, any questions for Eric?
Yeah, I have, you brought this up, but this was for this was for a specific project. Now, is this for a specific project?
3 projects.
Yes, sir. There were originally 3 projects. There was the USA Surgery Center, the second building at the MAP site. And then we have 10 apartments coming at the flats at Carmel Park Flats out on Twin Beach. And they've got 10 of those buildings they're doing. They have 3 types. We're asking them to review primarily, the main one I'm interested in is the one that has the handicapped access in the building, because that's come up on some previous projects about making sure that's right. So we're sending 3 buildings to them that will cover 11 buildings being built.
Okay. Would that, and the fees that we would, and I see that in the letter now, and the fees that we would receive would more than cover the cost of this?
Yes, sir. For the USA building, just based on the number they gave me, the fee is approximately 36% of what we will actually collect for plan review. And on Carmel Park Flats, it's like 28% of what we will actually collect.
Pass through.
Pardon me?
2 meetings back, you selected them, now it's bringing it back.
That's what I
Yeah,
was
it's not a
wondering.
new
Okay,
one.
that we have seen. I didn't know if this was an additional one. This is the
It is
same
not.
one that was
Same-
talked
this is
about
the
a few
same
meetings
one,
back.
yes,
Same one.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I probably wouldn't have asked the question, then thank you.
Yeah. So move?
All right, we've got a motion
Second.
and several seconds. Any further discussion? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 No opposition. All right, motion passes. Item number 12 is a resolution that the city council hereby approves and authorizes Mayor Sherry Sullivan to execute a memorandum of understanding agreement between the city of Fairhope and Mason J.C. Condominium Owners Association, a private property owners condominium association for slope stabilization project. The city of Fairhope is responsible for 50% of the total project cost. That's the design and construction, but it is not to exceed amount of $100,000. Richard, would you like to speak to this at all? We've all, I think we've all talked about it, but is that?
I have one quick question. Is the $100,000 the total project not to exceed cost, or the amount that we're?
It's
That would
200.
be our not to exceed at 50%
It's
of the
200.
estimated project.
It's
So,
200.
and in the agreement, if the project opens for more than 200,000 total, the
Right.
condo is responsible for the overage beyond our match.
It is, okay, so we're committed to 100,000,
Yes.
that's
Yes,
the
sir.
question. Okay, and that's the way it reads, so I just want to make sure that was correct. Okay.
All right, any questions for Richard on that?
I make a motion to approve.
We've got a motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion, council? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, motion passes. Next item is a resolution authorizing Mayor Sherry Sullivan to inform and submit the Municipal Water Pollution Prevention Program report for 2021 to the Department of Environmental Management. Any questions for Jason or Mayor Sullivan on this?
Could we have the mayor read that for the record? Just-
All 150 pages of it.
I know it said it was too large to open.
This is a report is compiled by Kim Burmeister in conjunction with the Water
I read it
Department.
last year.
So,
I
yeah.
didn't read it this year.
No, she does a great job
I
and
read it last
really outlines, the things that we're doing for this report. So really does a good job. So you don't have to do too much review.
Yeah, I did see that our water is good. So that's what's important.
Tastes good, too.
Yeah. Going back, Council President, where is that slope? Where is that area? I couldn't.
It's the condo, if you're going down Fairhope Avenue towards the pier, it's the white condos on the left, right
At the top of the
Right there.
slope.
Behind that
right
big oak tree.
overlooking the pier.
Okay, very good.
All right, do I have any interest in someone making
So
a
moved.
motion? Got a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, motion carries. Item number 14 is a resolution authorizing Mayor Sherry Sullivan to execute a contract between the City of Fairhope and the PR Foundation, a 501(c) nonprofit, for an appropriation of $2,000 to support the Home Sweet Home project in Fairhope, Alabama, that will provide affordable housing. Eric, do y'all have any questions on this one for Eric?
I just want to make sure this is a one-time appropriation, because it's a slippery slope when we start letting these appropriations.
Well, there was some discussion about possibly having I guess more of a resolution or bringing forth the ordinance about addressing
Affordable homes?
501(c)(3)s, so.
Yes, sir. One of the things, this is Pete Blum, Panini Pete, it's
Yeah.
his project, and he came to me, and normally, we do the appropriations at the end of the year and budget.
Yes,
them in.
I was
Well,
gonna
this-
ask that question. Why
Yeah,
was
this
it not brought
project
in?
came up after all of that, and he came to me, and one of the reason I'm up here speaking about it was he was talking to me about it, and I had suggested to contact the Baldwin County Home Builders, because they get involved in these kind of philanthropic projects, often.
Yeah.
And
Chris Price.
so in talking about it, it's a home for a local family, been here forever. The home builders are donating material and labor and everything else. And one of the things they had asked, would the city be interested in getting involved, or would they consider getting involved in this to help with this for affordable housing for a couple that needs it?
It's for one person then?
It's for a couple. It's for a local family.
It's a,
Yeah.
I mean.
But one of the things is we get,
how do
in
you
terms
not-
of.
I mean, how do you approve every request that you get for something like this?
Well, and-
Did you ask to put this on the agenda? Was this from you or?
No, the question came, where can I speak to the city about it? And I had suggested to Pete that this may be the method by which we do it. One of the things that, like I said, we have other nonprofits that work on affordable housing and work on other issues. And that question comes up a lot. And, we've never had one of these like this come up before. This is the first time. And so in speaking with the mayor about possibly some ideas or guidelines about how, if at all, that the council would like to address this going forward. Because these things do come up, and these are things that I think every member of the council has talked about at one time or another, wanting to get
But
involved.
this is for, this is a slippery slope. I mean, I mean, you approve this and you don't approve another 5,000 of them like it, I mean, what, I don't know. It just seems insensitive, and it puts us on the spot every time this comes before us, because we look like the bad guys if we vote no. It's impossible to vote no on these things. It's 100% impossible to say no to these things when they show up like this to us.
Yes,
I don't like it. I don't like getting put on the spot like this.
Certainly wasn't the intention.
Well, I
That was
feel
not the
like I'm
intention.
completely put on the spot like this, and I would encourage, if we pass this, I would encourage every nonprofit in the entire county that needs $2,000 to come to the Fairhope City Council and ask for it. Every single one of them need to come here and ask us for $2,000, because this is special interest.
Well, I Jack, I get where you're coming from, but I think when you're doing good things come back to you. So I think this is a good deal as far as helping people.
It's-
I
it's
think
not
affordable
government.
homes is something that needs to be an example set, you know, and, we might not be able to do it, 1,000 times, but for whatever reasons, it's here now and we're able to do it, and I think it's a good thing to do.
I don't think it's
Personally.
government's point to do it. A lot of people don't want us to give. We give 8 or 10 appropriations every single year, and we get a lot of people that say that they don't think that we should vote for our taxpayers' money to go to nonprofits. If they want to give it to a nonprofit, it should be their choice, not the government's choice.
I don't know, maybe this is slightly different. We're not writing a check, right? We're
Yeah,
just
well,
waiving fees.
Ultimately,
I mean-
the cost that was factored into this would
Was the
be
building permits.
underground electric
The building permits.
and possible permitting fees that would go along with.
I wish I'd have known that. I mean, that doesn't say that anywhere in there.
Yeah, so I think it's a great suggestion. I think it's a great
It's
gesture.
just $2,000.
I think it's a great gesture. Well, it's still money, it's just how we're doing it. I mean,
It's
the
a little
concept,
different than
it's just,
writing a
yeah,
check.
it's not
It's
like.
a
right,
value. It's a $2,000 value.
But it's
It's
for
essentially
affordable homes.
actually what it
And I
would be
think,
classified as, and I'm sorry, I did say, it's essentially in kind.
Yeah, No,
It's
because it
essentially
says
in kind.
pursuant to the motion, a one-time payment shall be made in the amount of $2,000. I don't know how else to read that.
Yeah,
Understood.
we got you.
Like I said, to my knowledge, I don't know that one of these have come before you before, and that's one of the things that we'd like to have if any of these ever come up. Have some guidelines about how they may want to address them.
The guideline was to bring it up during the budget year. That was the first guideline that is not followed. Bring it up during the budget year.
Understood.
Jack makes a good point in the sense that, we're truly not able to meet every need that every nonprofit might have, but this is obviously a very special circumstance, and obviously wasn't something you could have brought up.
Well, yeah, and I mean,
beforehand.
I would have just directed him to do it, but the fact is, this project wasn't even conceived of at the budget year time.
Yeah.
But it's becoming a reality.
Right, and I think
It is necessary.
it's a fantastic thing.
I think it is too.
And I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second,
Motion and a second.
yeah.
Any further discussion or comments?
I think we should do more of it. Home builders, good job.
All right, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Hey,
All right, the ayes have it. Item number 15 is a resolution that the city council hereby approves and adopts a wellness incentive program for the city of Fairhope for employees who are in the city's health insurance as outlined in this resolution. All right, Mayor.
I'll be happy to speak to this, and Kim, jump in if I say anything wrong. So this is the same wellness program that we have offered in the past through the infirmary, but we're just switching to the Symbol Clinic. The dollar amounts pretty much stay the same. The incentives that you've authorized offering before, the $25 and the $250 per quarter. All it does is it changes the point system a little bit based on what Symbol Health has recommended. So it's just another wellness incentive to offer to our employees, but it's just in lieu of the infirmary program.
Yeah.
All right. Making a switch to Symbol. All right, council, any questions for the mayor on this?
No, I think
did we eliminate the other incentive program?
We did an extension on their contract, which is expired.
It's expired now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And Symbol's just wanting to roll out another program to get information out in May to start June 1. So we just want to make sure the language.
Yeah, I just want to make sure if we have both of them on the books, we would be required to pay 2 incentives, so.
Good question. Yeah, I think this is a good deal. Just got to make sure that they actually comply to these incentives, The lottery, I think, is a good idea to kind of help them comply.
Well, and that will probably come further
Yeah.
down the line when we
Yeah.
start maybe doing some things with their insurance and different things to
Yeah.
make the incentives
Incentivize, right, very good.
a little more difficult.
All right. Does anyone have an interest in making a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right, we've got a motion
Second?
and a second. All those in favor of the wellness incentive program, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Item number 16 is a resolution that Mayor Sherry Sullivan is hereby authorized to execute the covenant of purpose, use, and ownership for the Working Waterfront and Green Space Restoration Project on behalf of the city of Fairhope, Restore Award, and this covenant shall run with the land. Marcus and Jessica. y'all.
I reviewed that document, and
Okay.
everything's in order, ready to sign. It's just something that ties the land up to where we can't do anything with it, except for park purposes during the duration of the project lifespan is all it is. We kinda got a restriction on the deed anyway from the single tax colony, we have to use it as park anyway, so.
That's what I
it's already-
was thinking.
It's already, restricted.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe a little redundant, but
Well, that covenant is not ironclad. You just have to pay for if you change up from what I was reading.
If you did, you have to pay all the money.
You have to pay all the money, so it's not ironclad.
It's still restricted anyway.
Right.
what we
Right.
use it for.
Right.
okay. Any questions for Marcus on that? Any further? Any comment? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I
So-
will make a motion.
All right, you got a motion and a second. All right, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Item number 17 is an appointment of Hobart Key to the Harbor Board. Kevin, everyone on the Harbor Board in favor of?
Yes, sir, they've
Addition.
submitted the name
Okay,
to fill the rank.
all right, very good. Would someone like to make a motion on?
So moved.
We got a motion
Second.
and a second on the addition. Any commentary? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, motion passes. Item number 18 is an appointment of Scott Berry to the Rec Board. Councilman Martin, was that,
That's what I brought up earlier,
Yep.
yeah.
and that was recommended by the
It
Rec Board?
was unanimous.
correct?
Unanimous.
Unanimous? All right.
Recommendation.
Yes, sir.
Would anyone like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Berry?
I'll
make
make
it.
a motion.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second.
Want y'all to race to
Got a motion and a second both ways. Any further comment?
No.
All right, hearing none, all those in favor of appointing Scott Berry to the Rec Board, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, item number 19 is a request that Chris Schrader, Chairman of the Fairhope Rotary Club Foundation, requesting approval of the Fairhope Rotary Club State Cook-Off on May 13th for street closures on Bancroft between Fairhope Avenue and Morphy, and Johnson between Section Street and Bancroft from noon until midnight, and approval to allow alcohol in the streets contingent on ABC license approval. And see Chad and Chris here, they've sat through a long meeting just to get to this, so appreciate you guys.
It's been entertaining though, right? I mean, at least.
Yes, yeah.
Informative.
Yep. We're gonna eat meat, we're not gonna eat plants. So, we have all of our paperwork in order, and we appreciate, the city helping us again with this event, and we expect it to be bigger than ever.
Awesome.
Well, we appreciate what y'all do, and we know how much money you put back into the community, and it's greatly appreciated. Council, any questions for Chris and Chad while they're up here?
Chad, you cooking this year?
I haven't had a piece of steak at this thing in 10 years. I would love to.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes, and item number 20 is also for these gentlemen, and that is a request that Chris Schrader, Chairman of the Fairhope Rotary Club Foundation, request permission to prop up the steer in the clock corner and sell tickets during Art Walk on May 6th.
Is this the steer that's down on Section Street now?
Right now,
Yeah.
yes. Big Ben is his name.
Yes, so
That
moved.
was Big Chad.
All right, got a motion?
It was actually named after
Second.
Ben Barnum.
Got a motion and a second.
That's funny.
Anyone have any additional comment?
May I make a comment?
Yes, ma'am.
I really have a problem with the cow being at the clock corner.
He identifies as a steer, ma'am.
The steer, and just want to go on record that says that I'm worried about the traffic accidents there, and I'll be posting that on social media later tonight.
Yes, ma'am, I stepped into a cow patty last night, and I
What if we
really
move it
don't
a
like
foot?
to, but I figured you misspelled Schrader, so maybe she won't pick up on it, but yeah, she did, so the season Chris, but yes, yes.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Thank y'all.
everyone in favor?
Was that a
of the
real
motion?
post?
Yeah, we need to vote, yeah.
Anyone in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, no opposition? All right, motion.
I did
passes.
want to say I volunteer at the elementary school, and I teach a third grade class. And one of the children, the lesson today was building cities and naming their cities and designing it. And one of the children named their city, and they named their city hall Jay's City Hall. I don't know whose kid that was, but Jay's City Hall. That's
like
Jay's
Parker.
City Hall.
Got him right future,
Sound like-
I can tell you.
That with a P. P sounds familiar.
Sounds like it's getting a bump allowance.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Train them up in the way it should go.
All right, item number 22, this is one of the add-ons. This is a resolution authorizing the sponsorship of a hazard mitigation grant application to the Alabama Emergency Management Association, or Emergency Management Agency, for the purchase and installation of state-of-the-art siren warning systems for mass notifications. Sounds pretty self-explanatory. It is a 75-25, and the projected cost is $57,680, so the city's portion would be $14,420.
Where does this go?
It's for downtown, so it's a whole speaker and alert system for downtown that will extend past where the tornado siren is now. It will go, all over town. But we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of the hazard mitigation grants. The problem is the deadline is May 5th. So there's multiple steps to these. We don't even know that we'll get the funding for it, but there's multiple steps to them, so we have to be able to submit documentation.
So what's the range? What percent of the population is gonna hear this? And, are we still in that, I kind of thought that was outdated with, constant weather alerts and apps and everything,
This
and
is a
notify
little
me
bit
and
more
all that.
extensive than that.
So this will be installed on the light poles in downtown. It'll be a downtown speaker system. I think that there's enough money in the budget for us also to put this down at the pier. This is in inclement weather or times of emergency. We have the ability to push this information out. So not only is it for weather emergencies, but if there's a missing
I see
child,
where it's going,
missing child
Amber.
during arts
I
and
see.
crafts, if there's a major emergency, you can
Excellent.
push.
So does it speak?
So it could be used during the holidays
So it speaks?
for playing music.
Oh,
It allows us to speak.
yes, that's what I'm saying.
It's a speaker.
That's what I'm, it said siren. I was trying to get a vivid picture. And we can talk through
That's a
it.
great name for something that allows speech.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Let's get it. So moved?
All right, got a motion?
Second.
And a second? All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
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 All right, motion passes. Thank you, Jessica. All right, item number 23, this is a resolution that the city of Fairhope has voted to purchase one 1,000 KVA three-phase pad mount transformer and three 150 KVA three-phase pad mount transformers from Trans Armor for three businesses and one for inventory, and authorizes procurement without formal bid based on the option allowed by the Code of Alabama. Cost is not to exceed $103,250. One of these is already spoken for Apollo Crossing. That's the chicken salad chick development. One is spoken for damaged one out at the medical center, and then I know one is a spare, and I forgot where the reserve. Thank you. So the last one is for reserve.
So moved.
Got a motion
Second.
and a second? Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, motion passes. And last item, we no longer have executive session, but last item is a resolution, be it resolved by the governing body of the city of Fairhope, Alabama, that Mayor Sherry Sullivan is hereby authorized to execute a mutual release and settlement agreement between the city of Fairhope and Green Coast Services LLC relating to contract for dredging operations at the Fairhope Marina.
So moved.
We've got a motion
Second.
and a second. Any comments, questions? any
Richard, you
remarks?
okay with this?
Got a thumbs up from Richard back there? All right.
Funny.
Any further questions? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right. Motion passes. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Public participation.
What's that?
Public participation.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. I was ready to get out of here, I guess. Floor is open for public participation. I am so sorry that I accidentally cut you off, for any topic you wish to address the council on.
I'm sorry.
No
My first
worries.
time, I'm
That's
really
the-
sorry.
No, no
That was my
worries.
fault.
No.
That was my fault.
No worries.
I
That's
apologize.
why we're here.
Okay, thank you.
She asked me ahead of time, I said, no, you have to.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
I don't know exactly
apologize
what's
for
going
that.
on. What do I do?
We don't either, so please.
My name is Renee Smith. I am a volunteer trapper with Safe Harbor Animal Coalition, a cat trapper. We have a community cat problem in our area. I don't know if y'all are aware of that. Do y'all know what community cats are?
Oh, yeah, Fairhope.
We're forced to live with them.
You know, she said something, you knew about this? Oh, okay. Go ahead, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
we have a serious cat problem, and we need to fix it. It won't fix itself, and it's just going to keep getting worse. So my organization, SHAC, Safe Harbor Animal Coalition, we are a spay-neuter clinic. We have our own vet on staff. We have our own vet techs on staff. But the only way that we can continue doing this is for funding. We need funding and donations from our cities, and we currently have contracts with Foley, Orange Beach, Daphne, and Gulf Shores, anywhere from $10,000 a year to $25,000 a year. That covers 12 to 31 cats per month. And just to give you an idea of what I have personally been trapping in the area, I trapped 23 cats at the brewery recently, and I've also trapped 18 cats on Windmill Road. Is that in city limits on that one side? No? Okay, well, 18 cats there. I trapped 11 cats today in 3 different locations, and they're going to be fixed tomorrow and returned. That's the most effective, humane way of handling the problem.
So you put them back where you found them?
Yes.
How long does it take? Does the number that you need to
Well-
spay or neuter, does that decrease every year because you hopefully are getting on top of the problem, or?
It's going to take a while to see results, but you have to start somewhere. Our plan is to grow and have more vet on, a bigger vet staff, so we can make that number go down faster. But it will be several years.
Because if you don't reach a critical mass, the cats will multiply faster than you can trap them,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
And don't be afraid of my comments about nonprofits.
Oh, I was like, oh my
thought that
gosh.
was a-
I started touching, I was like, oh my gosh.
So this is something that helps.
Not
this is
that I'm
something-
asking for
this is something
help
that-
here, but,
And they came in and met with me, and we talked about the program, and I told them this was something that you had recently mentioned.
I know.
And our we have obviously a relationship with the Haven, but this is something that I was able to see in the city of Foley, that they were funding it, and it is the only way to control it. And really, the Cat Coalition is no longer, working here in Fairhope, so, we have to have somebody to trap these cats and be able to spay and neuter them, so it's the only way to control it.
Did y'all used to operate under a different name? Did you rebrand?
The Orange Beach Cat Coalition, I believe, it is Safe Harbor. Well, the Foley and Orange Beach kind of joined forces, and they originally organized for South Baldwin County, but they have expanded to all of Baldwin County, and we are even helping some of our surrounding counties.
Okay,
All
so,
right, thank you. All
so
right.
just to kind of inform us, or you're
Well,
seeking-
I'm sorry, I didn't even read off of my thing. Okay, so we are asking Fairhope and the council to please consider funding our operations for the residents of the city and the cats we're forced to live with. Consider a pay-as-you-go option until a budget can be determined. The members of our community are not completely heartless, ignoring a hungry animal when they show up. These cats don't belong to anyone, but the people that care for them cannot handle or afford to sterilize them. A lot of them can barely afford to feed them because the population grows so quickly. Fairhope, please help, was what I wrote.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I was trying to cut off public participation inadvertently, but council, any questions?
I do in the car. It's a general donation letter, yes. Yes.
Okay.
And I can email you a copy of an example contract? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You did good.
Thank you.
He's harmless.
Anyone else for public participation? Yes, sir, Gary. How are you
Let
doing?
me make a quick report on the Earth Day. We got started late this year. We didn't do Earth Day for 2020, 2021. So we restarted, but there was a COVID spike over the winter, and so we held off till February before we made the decision to go ahead and give it a shot. It worked out pretty well. There were some shortfalls in our preparations. We only had half the normal exhibits, and the public turnout for the event was probably less than half of what we had seen in the past. But surprisingly, the sales for people that were vendors at the event were better than they had ever been in the past. Some people ran out of stock twice in the afternoon. Reports from environmental advisory sorts of groups were that the attention they got from the public was much stronger than in the past. So the more relaxed atmosphere, more spread out space, and so on, all contributed to really a more effective event. And that's something we're going to have to digest before we do this again for next year. In any case, Fairhope, the city of Fairhope is a principal sponsor. Their support was flawless and completely and utterly satisfactory. The other major sponsor is the Sierra Club. Their contribution was more modest this year, but the bottom line was that it was better than we would have hoped. It was, so I consider that quite a success. I want to thank Fairhope for pitching in. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Gary. Appreciate that. Is anyone else here for public comment? All right, we'll go ahead and close the floor. Council?
Motion's still in effect.
Motion's still in effect?
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn?
Nay.
All right, well.
Yeah, I don't know.